The way in the church people are ministered, we see that the speaker or the leader or pastor or bishop, when they come and deliver a sermon, that is a monologue. Monologue means what I believe, I understood. It's a monologue. Is no one can ask me a question till the time I finish. They need to listen to it, or maybe after finishing, they can come back and ask me, but not in that program. That program has to go on like that. It is a pre-planned program. It's just like a performance, and then the person will prepare the word and he will share, which is monologue, and then things will happen like that. It is totally contrary to the house church understanding, where people are called to teach. Now, if you teach me somewhere, if I do not understand, I'll say, sir, please stop. I do not understand this, or how this thing applicable to my situation, my life. And if you are a teacher, in any teacher, like if you are a physics teacher or maths teacher, you have to teach me that, okay, you are getting it wrong. This should be like this. But then a person who is preaching the sermon, he is not teaching, I believe, because teaching has to be dialogue or answering their questions, helping them out in their understanding. But sermon is a monologue. So how you see that, how it is contrary to from the early church, and how it is affecting the edification of present-day Christians.
Yeah, edification is the issue. We've got to remember that is the goal, that is the purpose of the Christian assembly, as explicitly stated by Paul in 1 Corinthians 14. So one of the ways to talk about this is by talking about the word preach. Now, it is commonly thought in a lot of churches today that preaching of sermons is what we should be doing. But it's interesting, if you do a study of the Greek words for preach in the first century in the New Testament, you find an amazing fact. The preaching actually refers to proclamation that took place of the gospel outside of the assembly to outsiders in order to gain converts, in order to enable them to believe the gospel and then become Christians. And after the preaching took place, usually in the community, maybe at a synagogue where a bunch of Jews were gathered, or maybe in a marketplace, wherever it was, then the believers gathered together, usually in homes, where they would receive teaching. So preaching is taking place outside the assembly to the community in order to gain converts. And then after you've gained the converts, you don't continue to preach at them. This is monologue, basically. That's what preaching is. But once you get them in, then it becomes teaching. And Jesus was called a teacher, a rabbi. And his teaching method of training the disciples was a Socratic method of asking questions. You look at all the times in the Gospels when Jesus would ask a question to the 12, and they would have to respond and go back and forth. This is the way that people learn. It's even the way people learn today. And if you're just going to be sitting and listening to somebody and trying to take notes, you're going to have a hard time retaining this stuff unless you have the opportunity to talk back, ask questions, even to disagree with what is being presented. It's in that kind of environment when real people begin to learn. But unfortunately, we still have this preaching method, this preaching format in our churches today, which does not necessarily lead to edification, which again is the goal. Now, I should one little exception to this. Somebody will say, well, in Acts chapter 20, in verse 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, Paul gets up and he does speak there. It's not the word preach, but he does reason with the Christians at Troas, and he speaks at length. So much so that one guy falls asleep and falls out of a window, and he's thought to be dead, and Paul comes out and raises him from the dead, and everything's fine then. But so you do have situations in the early church where somebody would do a long monologue. And it's great if you want to have people fall asleep and perhaps die, as this guy did. But what really works to help people stay awake and to help them learn and grow and be edified is dialogue. And that's why you see the one anothering taking place so frequently throughout the New Testament.